If you have been in this web world or web development world, you might have heard about REST API. It doesn't matter which technology you're working with. Maybe you're working on Java, ASP.NET, maybe PHP or Ruby. You must have heard this term called as RESTful API. In this video, let us explore the same. I'm Pinkesh from MIT, and let's get started with REST API. In order to learn API, we need to understand the real-world use case for the same. After thinking much, I found one relevant example of weather app on our mobile application or any online website which showcase the weather of every city of this world. Now you can think it's too much data, isn't it? And the question is, how we will get this much of data? Moreover, this weather data keeps changing. Let us just take an example of Toronto, Calgary, or any other cities. The weather keeps on changing. Think if we want to get this all data, then we have to install the sensors across the cities and countries, and it can cost us billions of dollars. Obviously, we will not do that. Means we need this data from somewhere. But question arises, from where? Luckily, we are so fortunate that we already have some services available on the internet, such as weatherapi.com. When I say services, it simply means that there are some servers or some cloud somewhere in the world. These data have been captured, processed, stored, and exposed for use. Imagine we have a mobile phone or a browser or Postman on this side, and other side you have a server. Now this server will give you a data, but then question arises, how can you generate this data? I mean, which technology we will use here? So basically, this is a normal web server. You can take any dynamic web server from where we can generate data. What we will do is we will request a server which belongs to some company, as mentioned earlier, that they have the ownership of all these sensors or have some sort of partnership with other sub-vendors in order to have this data, and they are ready to give us the data. What we have to do is just have to call the services with provided guideline. Ultimately, it is an API which we will call, and in return, we'll get the data in predefined format. Let us take a Java example here. So, we have to create a servlet. Client will send a request, and this servlet will provide the data. Now the question arises, what does the servlet return? If you're not familiar with Java, no worries. You can imagine a .NET or a PHP application. All of these applications return something. Normally, this something is a web page. Now, when I say a web page, it is a HTML page. So let's say, when we request from a browser, we will be getting an entire web page. As we dive deeper into the world of APIs, it's crucial to note that we are primarily interested in data. So when we make a request to the servlet we've created in Java, we aren't seeking an HTML page, but instead data. The servlet understands this and returns data in one of two formats, JSON or XML. You may wonder, why JSON or XML? The reason lies in the structure of data. We simply can't send data randomly, it needs a particular format. If we utilize XML, it offers a hierarchical structure. For an instance, you may have a country name, within which you'd find city names, and within those various additional values like humidity level, temperature, and more. This is the structure an XML format provides. However, JSON is increasingly becoming the preferred choice. If you're with JavaScript, you'd know that we create array objects which are essentially JSON objects. Instead of relying on XML, we can use JSON to structure our data. The conclusion here is simple. We create something, send a request, be it POST or GET, and in response, we receive data in JSON or XML format. And just like that, our job is done. To further simplify this process, we use REST API, regardless of the technology, Java, PHP, and others. REST says that if you need to return some data, you can create an object of it on the server side and return the values of the object itself. You're not sending the object, but rather its state. For example, if you want to send a weather report with data like city name, temperature, and humidity level, you can create an object with this data and send it in a JSON or XML format. This is known as the representational state, the conversion of an object into a state. This is the essence of REST, which is the Representational State Transfer Protocol. You're sending the state of an object, which can be done using JSON or XML. In real world, regardless of the application, ultimately there are only 4 basic operations: create, read, update, and delete, often referred to as CRUD operations. Let's consider an example of a service URL for a blog, something like this can be simplified to it's more like fetching a resource. Previously, we had SOAP-based web services which were XML-based. However, they've lost popularity with the rise of REST due to its simplicity and efficiency. As we have understood the essence of REST API and its operations, it's now time to delve into its different implementations. Here are some of the popular ones: Jersey, JBoss, RESTeasy, Spring implementation. Each of these implementations have their own unique features and benefits and can be chosen based on the specific requirements of your project. Now, to bring this all to life, let's demonstrate how to call a dummy REST API using the Postman tool and receive the data in JSON format. Remember, in this video, we're using a sample dummy API, but you can create your own API using Python, Java, Spring Boot, or any other frameworks. Here's our Postman tool. As you can see, we've entered our dummy API URL here and set the method to get. When we hit send, voila! The response data is displayed in JSON format, just as we discussed earlier. By now, I hope you've gained a solid understanding of REST API. We'll delve deeper into its implementation in our subsequent videos. So if you found this video helpful, do click the like button and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more such enlightening content. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and happy learning.